Welcome everyone, Questini here with a discussion about Warhammer 3 and Warhammer 2, and to talk about the range difference between the games and the responsiveness difference between the games, and just in general behavior that exists in both games and how they play differently. So over here, this is Alifanar's first battle in Mortal Empires, and this is his starting army. This is against the garrison army over here of the Dark Elves, a tier 1 garrison, basic 1. Now, here's the deployment I'm going to go for. Shadow Walkers, Archers in the center, Spearmen on the flanks, Eagle in the back, ready to attack. Now, Alifanar, I deploy him in the center because he is, well, an artillery piece and he needs that line of sight. Now, ranged is more powerful in Warhammer 2 than it is in Warhammer 3. Like, your basic archers are doing 20 damage, or 20 missile strength. So, okay. Over here, we've got the Alifanar shooting at the enemy. Let's get those bleak swords. And they're going to start advancing towards me. And he is slow to reload. He certainly takes his time with his shots. And there we go. Another shot. Now, of course, the difference between Warhammer 2 and Warhammer 3 is that you can certainly decimate the enemy from ranged without taking a significant amount of damage in return. Especially as the High Elves, it's one of the significant strengths. But let's look at the situation. So I've got the clone right there in the middle, and he is able to get that shot. Also, I'm just going to pull him back a bit. You'll understand soon enough why. Let's say I want to attack these bleak swords because the clone is keeping them occupied. And, well, I just managed to hit my own guys. But he is able to get that shot. He's very close, by the way. But he doesn't have a problem because he can do that. Now, he missed there. But he is able to at least shoot at the enemy. And that is, by the way, an important factor to talk about here. And look, he's just, he isn't targeting the center mass. He's not doing as much damage as he could. But he's certainly doing something over here, I might add. And you can see these archers, they're also shooting at these guys who are heavily engaged in melee with those guys. And while obviously their effectiveness is reduced, so is Alifanar's effectiveness, so you do have to take into account micro with respect to that. And Shadow Walkers just doing their things. Alifanar taking the shot, and yeah, no problem. Like, just no problem. 2 units heavily engaged in melee, very close together, and he shoots right basically between them. Some friendly fire, obviously, because he is an artillery piece, but at least he's able to do that. So, like, I could have just ignored giving him any orders and focused on, like, controlling my spearmen, controlling my archers. Alifanar, I've talked about his situation in battles in battles before, and yeah, another miss. He's not just standing there like an absolute imbecile doing zilch. He is doing something. And he might get the shot off, he might miss, he might stop mid-action, or he might actually do something, right? Get that hit. I have never seen him do that arc shot in Warhammer 3. Now, the amount of damage he's done over here is 3,000. It isn't the best damage. I didn't use him. Like, obviously, he would have done a lot more damage if I was constantly moving, getting behind the enemy units, all that. That's not the point of this video, right? It's not the point to just, talk about how much damage he's doing. Again, I could have done a significantly better job over here. But let's look at the units. Taking into account the missile strength that units do have, though, keep in mind, having a lower missile strength just means the battle is longer, but the end result, if it lasts long enough, is the same. It's not like your spearmen are going to kill the enemy. No, your ranged units are going to kill the enemy if you're playing high elf. It was pretty damn quick. So 9,000, almost 10,000 damage, 8,000 damage, 3,000 damage. Not as good as Alifanar as it could have been, but certainly pretty solid. And just to top it all off, I'm just gonna issue a commandment, get rid of the barracks because I don't need it as him, get a room marcher, and end the turn. And this is the end turn in Mortal Empires in Warhammer 2. Now there's less factions, the map is smaller, but the performance, like just the amount of time the game is taking on each individual faction is very, very quick. And it will be done in very short order over here. Now, it does slow down in both Warhammer 2 and Warhammer 3, but it especially slows down in Warhammer 3. In fact, in patch, one of the things they talked about is how they would slow it down even further to give the AI more time for decision making. That's something I can understand because the decision making the AI has in Warhammer 2 is not the best decision making in the world, but you get the point of what I'm trying to showcase. Let's move on to Warhammer 3. Okay, so here we are in Warhammer 3. Obviously the terrain is different, but I am going to deploy Alain over here. I am going to take one of these units of archers, the hero, just disable them completely, keep them hidden, and deploy as I did before. Now Alain is closer to the enemy, but let's see how he does things. Okay, so it starts off promising enough. He is shooting at the enemy. And then, is he gonna shoot again? There we go. Another shot. I'm gonna keep an eye out on the situation over here. Ranged units have moved into position. Now keep in mind, ranged units are stronger in Warhammer 2 relatively to Warhammer 3. Gonna get the clone. And the clone is engaged. And he's kind of stopped shooting. There's nothing. Oh, there we go. One shot. And it's not quite as effective. The range units over there are shooting, but if I order them to shoot over here on these units, they are able to get some shots off, but their overall effectiveness is not necessarily going to be that great. And even Alain, who's literally only got the clone over there, seems to be overall less effective. Now, again, remember, range is nerfed in Warhammer 3 versus Warhammer 2. But like when I look at this combat, just when I see this combat, and I see how these guys are shooting, they're not arcing up. They're not being quite as effective. Okay, he got the shot there. Nice. He still can shoot while moving. And he's able to get the shot off there. But let's try and get the shot off here. Now maybe he's too close for us, so let's try and target those guys right there. And nothing. Try and move him. Alright, he just got that shot while moving. So going from the side, the game is saying that he should be able to shoot. But what he's not doing here, he's not arcing up his shot. And in fact, like in general, like you do see some arcing shots over here. And now he's just basically stopped being able to fire. He did encounter that issue in Warhammer 2. So let's just move him a bit at an angle. Let's try and do that. Okay, got the shot. And the battle's won. But you can see the difference. Now, to me, it's pretty clear. It's pretty obvious. Terrain was a bit different, but it was still pretty much an open field, right? In this in this particular battle. So you got 83 kills here. Some of the partly because the combat was closer, but still the result we see in Warhammer 2, and I'm not talking like overall damage, I'm not talking about how powerful ranged is in Warhammer 3. I'm merely talking about like just the so he did 4,000 damage over here. They did 7,000. Okay, that's decent enough. 6,000, 7,000. Okay, they broke up. The battle is won. We occupied the settlement. Now, that loading time was not too bad at that particular point. But now I am just going to end the turn. This army might decide to attack the monoliths. That might be a problem, but this is not the serious campaign, right? It's not the serious situation. So, end turn time. And this is literally the first turn. It gets slower as you progress. Obviously, there's more factions. There's a bigger map. Difference of performance. It is slower, and it gets far slower as you progress through the campaign. One of the things about Warhammer 2 is that it only gets slow for the mega factions, and you can already see over here as it's going through these factions, it's slowing down. It's picking up some speed again, but then slow down, and it's the same computer, and this is on an NVMe drive. Just bear that in mind when we're thinking about the difference between Warhammer 2 and 3. Warhammer 2 I have installed on an SSD. Warhammer 3 I have on an NVMe drive. Now, it might not feel so substantial right now, and that wasn't substantial, but it gets more substantial as you progress through the campaign. My issue in all of this is how ranged feels. Actually, in general, how the combat animations feel in Warhammer 2 versus Warhammer 3. Like, units in Warhammer 2 just feel more responsive, like it feels more awesome to just watch the combat between different units. There's a clunkiness in general in Warhammer 3 that doesn't exist in Warhammer 2. I think people have chalked it up to acceleration or how units accelerate, but I think in general just like unit behavior is just clunkier in 3 than 2. And let me demonstrate this even further. Now, to have some fun, welcome to Snitch. Yes, one of the most powerful legendary lords in all of Warhammer 2 and 3 in a siege battle in Warhammer 2. Now, I think that there are people who are willing to say the siege battles of Warhammer 2 were a lot better than they actually were. I personally don't like them. Not that I like the siege battles in Warhammer 3 all that much, to be clear, but it's not like the ones in Warhammer 2 were better. The actual maps, the way you handle the maps, etc., that is a difference, but the tactics, especially dealing with AI when the AI has a lot of benefits, that situation is not necessarily great. So anyway, I have a unit of Orc Grinders, let's bring down the walls. Now, what I want you guys to understand is Snitch's units have the vast majority of their damage is armor piercing. If I was fighting a siege like this in Warhammer 3, I would be annihilating the guys on the walls. As you might notice, I am not annihilating the dwarf units on the walls. Over here. Point. So even though Warhammer free range units are overall weaker in comparison, you can see that the AI, the free units of range, like the Thunderers, the Quarrelers, are doing a fair amount of damage. Now, you would take such high damage, but what would happen in Warhammer 3 is that the units you have would just devastate, like the Night Runners and the Gut Runners with slings that are doing the vast majority of their damage with armor piercing. They would annihilate the enemy. It's not that they wouldn't on a field battle. The wall is protecting them. Imagine that. A wall literally designed to protect the defender is actually protecting the defender. Just consider the implications of that. Now, the reason this isn't great is because due to the various melee benefits the AI has in Warhammer, due to the various benefits, I'll win, don't get me wrong, like, I will certainly win this, or I'll drive them out, but it's certainly going to be a far more difficult battle, and I have to be more careful as a result of that. So let's just use that ability over there. And again, I have to be more careful in my decisions. I'm taking a significant amount of damage over here. Oh, I regret using that. Okay, so defenders are not shooting, but gunpowder not shooting for 2 ranks of units is a reasonable enough situation, I reckon. Hell, the fact that they even got some shots off over there earlier it's like, what? Though I do regret using Menace from below there. So, Warp Riders going in. Clan Rats going in. Like, this is a fundamental difference, because in Warhammer 2, you can't rely on your range units just killing everything on the walls. Now, this would cause a lot of issues for races like Kislev, and it would cause a significant number of problems, right? Overall. But, and I am winning right here, finally. I'm driving them out much slower, again, than I would have done in Warhammer 2, with the same faction, with the same race, with the same situation. Like, by the way, it is just a joy to watch units fight in Warhammer 2 in a lot of ways. Like, just the impact of combat feels substantially better. Don't wait until I get snitched for this gate. Things are gonna get a bit fun at that point. Hell, we're in. Let's see him go. Just look at him go. Like, isn't that a joy to watch? Like, the motivation I had for this video was just like playing this a couple of turns in this campaign and watching Snitch just do his thing. Just like, seriously. Like, it is so much fun. Now, keep in mind, I am losing this battle. I don't think I can even win it necessarily. Because they're just, even though the walls are protecting them too much, and my units are not capable of winning in a melee fight over here against the dwarves with all the melee benefits the AI has. And Snitch, sure, he looks awesome, but he's kind of not going to be able to win that. Now, I've played a lot of Snitch campaigns in Warhammer 3. I have never seen him in Warhammer 3 just go on a rampage. And here comes the assassin. Just like, this is the Snitch I remember from playing Emmerich in Warhammer 2. The nightmare. The genuine nightmare. Like, he could slaughter a significant portion of my army. They may have nerfed him, but it's just like, I think you get the idea of what I've been trying to showcase over here. And yeah, I am gonna lose the siege. Just too many dwarf units, the walls protected them, my range units were not capable of doing it. This army would win. Like, you guys have seen my campaigns, those that have watched my channels. You know what this army can do even in the hands of Trench in a campaign. And people wonder why exactly we complain about sieges being shite in Warhammer 3. Like, yeah, the layout is better. Being able to win sieges without siege is better. Not having the melee benefits is better. I think difficulty scaling is much better handled in Warhammer 3, but combat, the sieges, the actual moment-to-moment gameplay, it's like, sheesh, just watching Snitch. It's like, makes me want to play his entire freaking campaign over here in Warhammer 2. And I don't like Warhammer 2 because of the difficulty. Like just send him in. It's like, it feels like, you know how people make a big deal about how Scarbrand feels awesome? Like, just look at the rat go. It's like, seriously, it's like, boom. It's like he's not even stopping. Yeah. and then we activate his ability, and it's like, jeez. Where did this combat go? Like, where did it disappear? I think we need some answers. Like I've never trusted the argument people like Legend of Total War made about like Warhammer 2 being better. But when you see stuff like this, it's like, you really gotta stop for a moment. For all the limitations in diplomacy, for all the bullshit AI scaling, and yeah, I just literally lost the battle. Using the same tactics I would have used in Warhammer 3, I end up losing the battle. Difference. Just difference, right? That's all I had to say. This is where the problems exist for Warhammer 3. Like, and you know what? I don't even care that I lost the battle. I don't even care that literally I can't win the siege. In the turn that I attack this element, I would have to pull back, maybe put an ambush, maybe just wait for the dwarves to attack me. Because that was freaking awesome. Così insegnato.